Welcome back to a Friday episode of Straight Facts with Big Steve. How are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. Yeah, I'm good. Feeling champion.
I bet you are. 2 finals, 99% certainty to win the Premier League now, and you must have been over the moon, ecstatic with the performance Wednesday night against Real Madrid.
Yeah, listen, last year, what they did to us in the Bernabeu, I've said it before, it hurt. 2 minutes away from a final in Paris, to get stung like that, it was a kick in the teeth. We learned from it though. We took it on the chin. We went there last week, and I think we put in a performance last week it was like a professional performance. We didn't push it. We didn't show our cards to Madrid. I thought Bernardo Silva played a blinder out there. He was very, very safe. And then I knew, and I've been saying it on shows, if we can get them back to the Etihad level, it's game on, because I believe the Etihad's a fortress now. Well, you've seen it the other night. And we got back there, and I think they thought, shit, we're bitten off more than we can chew. I don't know if you've seen the podcast, the Real Madrid one I did when I predicted 4-0.
I didn't see that, to be fair. No.
Yeah, I predicted 4-0, and they were laughing and saying I was taking the piss, but I was confident, man. I was so confident. I told you, I've just got this feeling about this team, and I just thought, yeah, we're going to do it. And John Stones running through the midfield, Modric and Cruz couldn't get anywhere near him. Bernardo Silva was twisting Camavinga up. Erling Haaland pulling them all over the place. It was a performance. It was unbelievable. And I was reading some Spanish media about it before, and that they were saying it was, for them, it was embarrassing the way City made them play. You know what I mean? They didn't get out their own half for 20-odd minutes. The atmosphere, people on social media like to call the Etihad, but it was frightening the other night. It was frightening.
It certainly was watching it. And I didn't predict 4-0. I mean, I got cooked by my own community here at the Terrace when I said I think you'd win by 2 minimum, but I said 3 clear goals. 2 to 3 clear goals I thought you'd beat them by. And I just based that on the fact that, look, you're not always just because you win the Champions League doesn't make you a great side. Chelsea have won it. When Chelsea won it a few years ago, they're not a great side. I believe this Real Madrid team is a very good team, but I don't believe it's a great Real Madrid side. And that's not taking anything away from City. You were fantastic. But that's why I couldn't understand these predictions purely based on heritage that Real Madrid were going to get it done.
That's what they were doing it on, sorry. And I said, look, they were trying to disrespect Manchester City on the podcast. And I said, well, Girona just got a result against you. Real Sociedad got a result against you. One of the worst Barcelona teams in history that got beat off Man United have won the league. I said so, and they said, oh, but we give all that up because we're just Champions League. That's all we want and all that. I said, okay, that's fine. I said, but you're coming up against a Manchester City team that can't rest a full side like you did the other night. We've got the rhythm. We're fighting for every trophy on every front, and we're purring right now, and it's dangerous. And they were like, yeah, well, we'll see. We're Real Madrid. I said, okay, that's fine. And I get that, and I respected it. But now they've got to respect us, Terry. They've never won at the Etihad. They've never won there. We beat them all the time, or draw with them at least. But that was a demolition job, and that hurt. That hurt them. That,
mate, it definitely did. And as I say, heritage plays a part, but there has to be a closeness between the teams. And I say heritage plays a part, especially when your teams are at home. And I say that comes down to fans managing anxiety, that the noise and anxiety coming from the supporters plays its way onto the football pitch. Having managers and people behind the scenes and or players that have been there and done it, worn the T-shirt, all these things help. But there has to be a closeness between the teams over a 2-legged game. A one-off game like a final can be very, very different. But over 2 legs, the fact you beat them 3-1 last year and you were comfortable up until the last 2 minutes of the game at the Santiago Bernabeu, the fact you're a better team now than you were a year ago because of Haaland, and they're 1 year older, the fact that they've got a midfielder that was instrumental in the winning the Champions League next year from coming on from that bench in Camavinga, who's now playing left back, no legs in the midfield. Heritage only takes you so far. Experience only gets you so far. And City, by far and away, one of the best performances I've seen. I look at that game. I'll say I'm biased when it comes to Man United as a United fan, but that Liverpool's comeback as an example, Liverpool, and I'm talking their comeback against Barcelona. Those two, I would say, in the last 20, 30 years, are two of the best performances I've ever seen from English teams. And I think what City did to Real Madrid, it will be remembered internationally for a long, long time. It was just absolutely emphatic. And the fact that Haaland didn't get on the score sheet on the night, did he? No.
No.
He didn't.
The work rate off the ball from him when you watch him was unbelievable. And they were that concerned about where he was running, where he was going. John Stones and that were just running right through him all. They didn't know what to do. So Haaland, he just adds that different dimension. He's there on the end of it. If he should have had 2 goals, Terry. Courtois saved 2 blinders from him. And then, but he gave him the run around all day. I'd like to see how many kilometres he ran that game because he never stopped, man.
No, absolutely. And off the ball work is so key for a player like him. And, you know, if you'd have said you're going to score 4 against Real Madrid, you'd probably put your house on Haaland being a goal scorer. Only Thibaut Courtois stopped him. But overall, I think it was a very, very solid performance. Bernardo Silva, star of the show. And, you know, now, I mean, you're 3 wins away. You win this weekend, but you're done. 3 wins away from completing a treble. And I know it's a conversation that you've really kind of stepped back away from in recent times, but surely now, with being so close, you must be believing in this treble now.
Listen, we've got the league to wrap up on Sunday. We've got a derby against Man United in the FA Cup, and we've got Inter Milan away in Istanbul. We've got a fantastic chance. We've just got to get it done. You know, we had Wigan a few years ago in the FA Cup final, and everyone said you're going to win the FA Cup, and we didn't. So you've got to be there. You've got to arrive at the right time, and you've got to be on it at the right time. You can't let your mind go. And I think derby games are derby games. The atmosphere is going to be electric. It's Man City, Man United at Wembley. And then Inter Milan, you know, that's the stake night for a lot of players. That's the biggest night in their careers that they dreamed about. And every single player on that pitch for both teams will be. So we just got to make sure we get the job done now. It's all right talking the talk. Yeah, we're in a fantastic position, but we won nothing yet. So let's just go out there and do what we need to do. You know what I mean? The Champions League for me now, I can dream about it because I can nearly touch it. But I could dream about it in Porto. And we got beat to a poor Chelsea side in Porto, but full credit to him. We wasn't ready then, and we bottled it. So we just need to make sure we don't bottle it. And the way we're playing at the minute, if Pep Guardiola keeps it simple, doesn't overthink it, keeps doing what he's doing, we've got a fantastic chance, Terry.
You certainly do. And I think for me, I'm a bit like yourself. I feel like it's not your favorite in each game. Your favorites to win the league now by far, 99% certainty. Your favorites in both finals, but the probability of winning all 3 is the difference, because that's a different multiplier altogether. But as a United fan, the FA Cup final now, and I haven't really spoke much about it up until now, and it feels just around the corner. It's a game that I'm excited about, because the prospect of beating you, firstly, to win 2 trophies in a season, hopefully cement next to Champions League football, would be a brilliant year for us in isolation. It then could do what we did to Liverpool in the 80s and stop a treble, or stop the treble from happening, which I think would make it an even bigger win for us. As much as I still believe you could go on and win the Champions League, and your Premier League and Champions League champions is amazing, stopping you from doing a treble is huge. However, getting beaten by you in your run in one of the most important games of that run to winning a treble, it's just insult to injury from a pure rival perspective, from a pure tribalistic point of view. So I'm like, there's half of me that is buzzing about that final. There's another part of me, Steve, which is just absolutely cacking my pants. And I'd rather, guys, I'd love to take a little pill right now and go asleep and wake up the day after and just check the results. I'm that nervous about it for so many reasons. But I think you're right. This could go down as one of the most electric FA Cup finals in the history of football. If people are sort of bored of the football now, feel like the season's over, wait to that final. It's going to be, I've heard a lot of rumors about like the way fans are feeling on the way down. There could be a lot of trouble. Emotions are high. There's a lot of stuff kind of going on surrounding that game. And it's certainly, as you say, going to be emotional.
No, it is. Listen, there will be trouble, 1,000,000%. 2011, there was trouble. The police got to get it under control. I think they've advised United to go down the M6, Man City to go down the M1. They have red and blue service stations because it's dangerous. Imagine me pulling up in a Man United service station and try and go for a piss. How do you think that's going to end?
You're in big trouble. Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it's serious, and people look down on the Manchester derby and think, "Oh, it's not this, it's not that." But you know yourself, it's ruthless, and it's a final. So yeah, it could. We just got to keep doing what we're doing. I just don't want Pep. I think he'll change the goalie. I think Ederson will play. Ortega will play. He might tweak it a little bit. I don't know with the Champions League final the week after, but I hope he just goes full strength and tries to get the job done. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I can't lie. I'm excited right now. Football. It's just, when I was outside Arsenal, I mentioned the shark and that was a little psychological warfare with me. But look what happened to him. The people was on this show when we first set this show up. They were calling me every name under the sun. You're this, we're top of the league, we'll see, we're 8 points clear, it's one horse race, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And now, all of a sudden, Sky Sports the other day said Manchester City were chased down hard by Arsenal. Arsenal never chased us down. They were leading. We chased them down. But this narrative that Arsenal were the plucky underdogs and Manchester City the big bad wolf, no. They was in a fantastic position. They were 8 points clear and they dropped 12 points in the title running. So you can't win a title doing that, Terry.
Oh, you certainly can't. And, as I messaged you earlier today asking you, what we're going to talk about today. And you sort of mentioned sort of Arsenal bottling it. Do you feel like City's pressure, now that you look back and it's pretty much done, ending with that Brighton game last weekend, the team by themselves who got smashed by Newcastle last night, a very good team, but a beatable team for top sides. Do you feel like the pressure of Man City is what broke Arsenal in the end?
Yeah, 100%. The fans, we broke them because we started with the shark analogies. We were great whites everywhere. We were on them like fuck, saying, we'll see. And because we were so relaxed and saying, you'll see what's coming, they were frightened of it. Then you had Liverpool fans who were jumping on it, going, listen, when Man City get after you, it's going to be hard. And so that didn't help. And then the players, every time we played them, we bullied them. We went to the Emirates, won 3-1. Couldn't live with us. Went to the Etihad, won 4-1. Couldn't live with us. That's not the side of champions. In the Etihad, it was a whimper. They were getting bullied all over the park. The fans were leaving 60 minutes. And then that weekend, when they got beat off Brighton, don't forget, they were relying on Sean Dyche to save their season. Yeah, that is how low they got to. Sean Dyche is going to beat you, and we're going to do this. And while they were concentrating on Sean Dyche, Brighton turned up and the Seagulls shat all over him. And they had the biggest fire alarm in Premier League history. And there was no fucker there at the end to see him do anything. So considering they were proud of the team, let's clap our young players off on our manager. That was embarrassing, that Terry, at the end, walking out the ground like that and leaving them there. They couldn't believe in the team that much. They were at home as well, so it's not like you had to get off and drive miles.
Why do you think so many fans walked out at that moment?
Because their arses fell out. And they couldn't handle it. They've been on a roller coaster. They've been so excited, rightly so, and they wasn't humble along the way. They were giving it people like me who've seen these title runnings for the last 5-6 years, and then now they got in the mix of a title running. They didn't have the bottle for it. They didn't have the minerals for it, and at the end, they couldn't deal with what they were about to see on the pitch. So they all fucked off for a kebab and went to bed.
I mean, there's been a lot of fallout since. You must have seen the stuff from Robbie about, we're beneath, the Carabao Cup's beneath us. City have made it a farmers league, therefore, no one can really compete with them. So is it really failure to not beat them to this title? But what's your reaction to that? Do you feel that's sort of, it's not every Arsenal fan. Lots of Arsenal fans on the terrace have been like, listen, none of that nonsense. We should have won the league from being 8 points clear and we let it up. What do you make of Arsenal fans kind of playing down their capitulation at the end?
Well, if it's me, I would have come out and said, you know what, we got caught. We had a great season. We didn't just quite have enough in the tank near the end of the season to get the job done. But at the beginning of the season, if you'd asked any Arsenal fan we were going to go for a title, then they'd have thought you was deluded. So if you look at the season, I'd have said, look, we've had a fantastic season. We've got a young side, an exciting manager, and we fell short. But we're going to regroup. We're going to make some additions in the summer and we're going to try again next year. That is all he had to say, and people would have respected it. But all this nonsense about, oh, it's a farmers league. And it was only a farmers league when Arsenal were top for 250 days. It can't be a farmers league when Man City are top for 15 days and win the league. You know what I mean? That's Bayern Munich stats. 250 days at the top of the league is Bayern Munich stats. That's a farmers league. So I don't get it. And at the end of the day, when you're 8 points clear, you've got to play Man City twice, you lose twice, and then you drop 12 points in the last 10 games. That, my friend, is you bottling it and your arse has gone. That is it. You had 1 game a week, yeah? 1 game a week. I'd never seen as many injuries for a team that had 1 game a week. And at the end of the day, Manchester City were on in every competition. We couldn't lose in the Premier League. We couldn't rest in the Champions League. And we caught them. The rhythm got them. And people laughed about this rhythm. Oh, no, what do you mean about the rhythm? Well, I spoke to Gail Clichy last week, and he's one of their Invincibles. And he said, when you've got 1 game a week, it's so hard. You can overtrain, you can overthink, you can undertrain. He said it's so hard. He said what you need is games. You need to come in, recover, day of training, match. Recover, day of training, match. He said match fitness, match playing matches, doing things in games keeps you going. Arsenal, I'm sorry, all that nonsense about we went out of this cup and we went out of that cup didn't do him any good, man.
Do you know what? I think people... I remember last season, and Igal was saying it, but a lot of Arsenal fans on the shows were saying it too. We'll make the top 4 because we've got 1 game per week. You're playing, everybody else is playing 2 games per week. It's harder for them. And then I remember towards the end of the season, remember they had quite a lot of games postponed, or a handful of games postponed because of COVID situations. They had to start playing twice a week. And then I remember the narrative changing to actually, it's better to stay active and you've got more chance of making the top 4 if you play 2 games per week. And listen, people can be educated and fans can change their mind mid-season. But I've always been a believer that you can play too much games if you're not able to rotate your squad enough. But you need that rhythm. Equally, if you're sitting there with a player on your bench who's barely kicked a ball in 5 weeks because you're out of every cup competition, and then you need him because of an injury, he ain't going to be fresh. He's not going to be ready to go. So I think there's a balance. You know, if you're in every competition but you don't rotate your squad, you'll burn out. Pep Guardiola is a master, just like Fergie was before him, at rotating the squad. You know, there was that period back in the early part of this year where young Lewis was starting over Kyle Walker week in, week out, maybe for about 3 or 4 weeks, saving Walker for what? This stage of the season, the business end of the season. So, yeah, I absolutely agree. The nonsense. Listen, I've praised Arsenal lows this year. We're going to get onto another Arsenal subject a little bit later. I think that they're going places. I think they're a brilliant looking team. They spend well this summer. They can become a phenomenal team, a consistent team. But going out of cup competitions, going out of tournaments, I have never seen people celebrate it like I saw people celebrate it this year. And it's not just Arsenal. Arsenal just took it to a new level this year. And maybe because they're a much bigger club than some of the other teams that have done it in the past, it kind of protrudes more and you see it. But maybe it's social media fans more than match-going fans, and you'll know that being one. But this notion of, I'm happy to go out of this tournament, I'm happy to go out of this one, we can focus on what we're doing. I was gutted watching the Sevilla Juve game last night. I was gutted. I was happy for West Ham, but I was gutted watching them go to a final. I was more gutted watching you go to a final, not even because of the treble, but because we let up against Sevilla and I wanted to still be in the tournament. I'm not sitting there thinking, I'm so glad we didn't have that game. We've got more chance of beating Bournemouth now. I wanted to be in that semi-final. And I think that I just want to see a little bit more honesty from fans. When you go out of a cup competition, just show you're annoyed. You can be annoyed at your team being knocked out of a tournament without it meaning you want your manager sacked. You're going to fly a plane over the stadium saying so-and-so out. I don't know where football fandom has gone to a point now where we kind of laugh at failure and pretend like it isn't a problem. It's very strange to me. I'm not too sure where it's come from. Maybe it's been an escalation over the years, but yeah, that's just all a nonsense to me. And the Arsenal have got a lot of regrouping to do this summer. I think they'll come back strong again next year, but this playing it down, and it ain't a Farmers League. We can't redefine what Farmers League means to suit anybody else's narrative. A Farmers League means you lose competitiveness once you go past your top 3 or 4 teams. This league is competitive down to the bottom 3.
Look at the last 10. Look at the last 10 games that I told them. The business end of the seasons when you get the craziest results. Brighton go and beat them there. Southampton were 3-1 up there. You know, you're seeing Bournemouth winning mad games. You know, Leeds. You know, all these things are happening. But at the end of the day, Terry, it's easy to use Manchester City as an excuse for the failures of your own club. That is it. They look at Manchester City and they want to pin this on them, pin that on them. At the end of the day, Manchester City are just doing it bigger and better than everyone in the league. So it's down to your chairman, your owners and your players to step it up a level. We was off the pace this season and we didn't look anywhere near a title contender. Pep Guardiola, the best manager in the world, changed it mid-season. He ditched the inverted fullbacks. He played centre-backs at fullback. He put John Stones in midfield like Mateus Sammer, running through midfield. He got rid of Cancelo, who was a bad egg. Yeah, and we found a way to make Erling Haaland even better than he was in the earlier season. It all kicked into gear. We're 22, 23 games undefeated. 12 or 13 straight wins. That is a machine going towards a title, not one that drops 12 points in the last game. So you can't blame Manchester City and call it a Farmers League because you dropped 12 points. Because that Farmers League, West Ham, you're calling them farmers because they took points off you. Liverpool, when you were 2-0 up, they took points off you. 3-1 down to Southampton at home's a joke. And Brighton, when you was relying on David Moyes, not David Moyes, when you was relying on Sean Dyche, the Seagulls turned up and ripped the title away from you. So they've only got themselves to blame. They can go on TV, AFTV, cry, whinge, moan, because we know deep down that it's hurting. But the way to deal with it is get back on the horse and say, look, we've had a great season. We're in the Champions League and we're going to go for it next season. You know, that's honest opinion.
We have some super chats here. This is from Raul, who's an Arsenal fan. He says, we bottled it, simple as. However, both statements can be right. We have progressed because we've improved our style of play and our league position, but we have bottled it when it mattered most. And yeah, both comments are true at the same time. You have progressed this year. You need to then progress further next year and become better. And yeah, I do think there's room for that nuance and balance there. African Soldier says, Arsenal is a bottle job FC end of. Arsenal is the only team that has led for 71%, 52%, 73%, and 93% of the time and still bottled the Prem. Come on, you gooners, is what's been said there. City won't win the treble, double yes. When it matters, they'll get nervous. Wait for it. I don't know why I laughed. I just don't look at this City team as getting nervous right now, personally. I don't know what you think, Steve.
Yeah, we look nervous. That's
yeah,
it.
I'm worried. The fact is now, and I don't call him this anymore because he's proven it, but the fact that Jack Grealish has turned up in the last 3 months and been a superstar, that's what makes me even more nervous than just Haaland and KDB, because Bernardo Silva I feel like Bernardo Silva, Grealish, Gundogan, the level up they've had in the last 3 months, they were good all year, but they've gone to that world-class level. And yeah, I don't think City are going to be nervous about Man United. I'm actually hoping more that you overlook us. I'm actually hoping you overlook us a little bit, which I don't think will happen with Pep. We are going to have to put in our performance of the season to beat you. But yeah, I'm hoping it's more they look over us than are nervous. This here says we can win it all or win nothing. 3 finals left. Oh, you won the league. The league is done, my friend. But yeah, you could still walk away with just the league. When I say just the league, that makes it sound terrible. You could just walk away with 1 trophy this year in the league. But yeah, the treble, that's what's exciting. My team's been in this situation. Only you have. Like, only you now, Man United and Liverpool in the 70s have been. Oh, actually, no, I suppose Liverpool were in this situation, but before they went to their Champions League final, they hadn't won the league. So it is a little bit different, I think. But there we go. Martins here says, midway through the season, I saw Arsenal did not have what it takes to strongly finish the season. Glad I didn't get my hopes up like some supporters did, is what Martin says there. Thank you for the super chat, bro. It means a great deal to us. We're going to come back to Arsenal a little bit later in the show. So viewers, make sure you're staying with us. Make sure like buttons are being hit. I wanted to ask you, Rashford is now reported as being out. How big an impact do you think that's going to have on the top 4 race? Newcastle winning last night and Liverpool have just found ridiculous form again towards the end of the season. And most people are predicting them to win their last 2 games. Do you think Rashford being out and not back for this Bournemouth game is going to impact it? Or do you think United and Newcastle will have enough to stay ahead of Liverpool?
I don't know. He's had a great season, Andy Rashford. You know what I mean? He's a big part of what Man United are about. I think ever since you called him world class, he went off the radar. So But no, listen, he's one of the key players. So if he's out, it's a blow. But United, Liverpool are getting into that rhythm we talked about. They've had that rhythm for a few years, going for titles. So when it starts to kick into gear, they're pretty good at going on a bit of a run. So they've got the bit between the teeth and they're running with it. United's just got to fight them off. If United finish in the top 4, win the Carabao Cup, the FA Cup final, which you'll lose, it's been a good season. So, United's had a good season, but Rashford's a key player for them. But I look at the United squad, I believe you've got to sell players now to get people in the summer. People were talking about Rashford, Sancho. He's had his chance. He's not quite cutting it. He's came back. Is he the same player? I don't know. But I think Martial, I don't know how he's got away with it there for so long. Phil Jones, I can't believe, has just been released today. I mean, he's been there since Aguero scored that goal in 2012. How the fuck has he been there that long? Do you know what I mean? Who's giving him contracts, man? So, there's a lot of deadwood there. Ten Hag will know his first season. He'll know what he needs to do for United. He'll know who he needs to get rid of. Just got to make sure the fans stay patient. They can't throw another load of dough at it. Again, if their FFP is not balancing up. So they've got to sell, I think, before they can buy.
Yeah, we've got to move a lot. Even regardless of money, we have to remove a lot of this deadwood in the summer, as you've mentioned. Sancho, someone that I would like to see go. Martial, Phil Jones, McTominay, Maguire. These players have all got to go. They've all got to leave because they're just not what this manager wants and needs for multiple reasons. In terms of Rashford being out for this weekend, look, he's picked. There's a little illness there, so he'll be back for the Chelsea game on the Thursday. And as much as we need to beat Bournemouth, the game in hand is even more key. You kind of rush Rashford back now, or plan when he ain't right, and something else goes wrong with him. He might miss the rest of the season, and we're going to need him against you. If we've got any chance of beating City, we need Marcus Rashford fit. So I don't want him to be risked, even though beating Bournemouth on Saturday afternoon, I think pretty much guarantees Manchester United a top 4 place, because I think we'll win one of our last 2 home games because our home form has been formidable. So if we can beat Bournemouth away, then I'll be really confident we can get it done. But Liverpool, just this run of form they've been on, I kind of assume 4, 5, 6 games ago, they'll drop a point here or there and it'll be okay. But they've just been absolutely relentless, and they're chasing us down. Newcastle last night, I think, pretty much done it with that win over Brighton. I think they'll be okay now. They need one more win, and they'll get that from one of their last 2 games. But yeah, it's been a very interesting kind of end to the season, really. So yeah, I'm excited to see what kind of happens and the way we progress in the summer, because Liverpool are going to come back. Chelsea are going to go big. And news today about Tottenham, actually. Did you see that the manager Spurs are linked to now? They're saying that there's the lad Arne Slot and Luis Enrique, yeah, are the front runners. Again, I can't understand why you would go for Slot over Enrique. But
listen, I can't see Enrique taking that job. There's big problems there. Unless he's going to go in and they're going to get rid of Harry Kane, they're going to get rid of Son, and they're going to clear the decks out and have a total new rebuild. That's the only way I can see anyone big wanting the Tottenham job. I don't see them attracting anyone big anymore. I mentioned it on the Big Six last night, Graham Potter. I said to Toby, would you take him? He went, no. And I'm thinking, well, who do you think you think you're getting? Because Mourinho couldn't fix it. Conte definitely couldn't fix it.
Yeah.
Poch's going to Chelsea, and he was a Tottenham man, so that's got to hurt. And then Enrique, why would he do that? His stock's quite high at the minute in world football, and he's waiting around for the right job, and the Tottenham one is definitely not the right job. So I think there's problems at Tottenham. I think they're getting left behind. I think City, United, Chelsea, Liverpool, Newcastle are all ahead of Tottenham and going in the right direction. I think Tottenham are just levelling off. I just don't see where they're going, what they're trying to achieve, any system they're trying to play, any identity. I just don't see that with Tottenham. I think it's a mess there. And I think the chairman's got a lot to blame. He's had his chance. He's spent his money. He's held on to the diamonds for too long. And it's hampered them as a club. And I think if Pep went in Tottenham, he'd fucking struggle, to be honest.
Well, he would, because this is not a dig, but it's the truth. Pep needs, like all top managers, you need what you need over a period of time. If you're not given it, then your team goes backwards. And that's for most managers most of the time. We've never actually seen Pep in that circumstance. Maybe he'll manage it well. But yes, listen, Luis Enrique, I said it on my video earlier on today. If they bring him in, on paper, it's a better appointment than Poch to Chelsea because Luis Enrique is a better manager. He's got a better CV than Erik ten Hag. You only really look at there's an argument, that he's got a better CV than Jurgen Klopp. I swear he won the treble, right? Unless I've got the wrong guy. I swear he won a treble at Barcelona. If I've got that wrong, viewers, shoot me down. For some reason, my internet's not working properly. So I can't search anything as I was thinking about that. He's a top manager. You'd look at him, and on paper, he would be. I'm just checking out if he won that treble. I'm pretty damn sure that he did as a manager. Yeah, he did. He won in the 2015 season. He's achieved a lot, and he went straight on to managing the national team. That's a very different kind of job. But he's a better manager than probably everybody but Pep in the Premier League. Liverpool fans will say Klopp's better. I get why they would, but CV wise, they're pretty close. But I just don't. I agree with you. I just don't think. I just absolutely do not think they're going to give him what he wants, and it will follow the same. And you actually think about it. Say they get Luis Enrique. That means Spurs' last three managers are Jose, Conte, Enrique.
Exactly.
That's three managers.
And how many trophies have they won?
More than their whole club's history. How many
trophies have them great managers won at Tottenham?
Nothing.
Not near it. Mourinho had the best chance coming up against City in COVID, and they sacked him before the final because they didn't want to pay him that bonus.
It's, for me, I look at it this way, unless there's, and this is what I would say to Spurs fans, they'll think I'm being bitter. I'm not. I'm being real. If you bring in Luis Enrique, but you don't believe the club is going to change its approach, it's going to end the same way all the others did, in tears. But you'll be more embarrassed, or you'll get more stick from rivals because you've actually got a great manager. If, for instance, you bring in Arne Slot, I don't know much about this guy. I'm not going to disrespect him. If you were to bring in, Brendan Rodgers, there wouldn't be as bigger expectations on you. So when you ultimately fail, because you always fail, it'll just be, now we kind of expected you to fail. But when you bring in a world-class manager like Luis Enrique, Antonio Conte, Jose Mourinho, you are looked over with a lot more detail than if you have a Brendan Rodgers. So they've got to be careful what they wish for. I've seen Spurs fans this week, Steve, say no and brush away Thomas Frank like he's nothing. For me, it's crazy. That's the level they need. They go for someone bigger than that. They're going to be consumed by it. Their club will be consumed by Luis Enrique for me. Yeah,
well, I don't. That's not going to happen. I'll be shocked to high heavens if Enrique takes that job. I think he don't need to take it. I think Tottenham are in no man's land. I really do. I just fear for Tottenham this season. I think Newcastle are well and truly establishing themselves now. Champions League, 1 win away. Newcastle are going to get up there. They got to a final this year. So Tottenham have been left behind, and they shouldn't be, because it was all about the new stadium, and then they brought in Mourinho, and you thought, he's a winner. He's going to get the tune out of him. Didn't work out. And then they brought in Conte, another winner. Toby was singing Antonio and all that, and they were laughing at Arsenal. They were laughing at Arteta for winning an FA Cup, because they said, you can keep your FA Cup. We've got Conte. And then now Arsenal are light years ahead of him. But that's how it flipped in 12 months, because Arsenal had a plan. They believed in the manager and what he was doing, and they stuck with it. Even great pressure from the fans to get rid of him last season. They didn't. Even though Tottenham pipped him to Champions League, they didn't get rid of him. But look who's in a better position now, Terry. Look which club's on the up, which club's fans are buzzing, and yeah, they've missed out on a title. But look at Tottenham. You wouldn't swap that club for anyone's at the minute. It's no man's land there. Graveyard.
Mate, I hear you completely. And I think one of the things, I think you mentioned it earlier, getting rid of Harry Kane. Now, this isn't a ploy because I want him. It's honest to God opinion, they've got to get rid of Harry Kane. They have to move him on. I just think it's not even a dig at Harry Kane. It's like, it's fine. None of us need to do anything because Harry Kane will save us. They almost need to remove, he's like the comfort blanket to a lot of his teammates in games. And they have to remove that, more of the responsibility spread out amongst people. But yeah, look, I agree with Newcastle on the rise. Even though there's 5 Champions League spots coming up soon, with Newcastle on the rise, Man United, we are going to get some form of new owners. And Sir Jim won't make us as good as the Qataris will make us. but we will improve from where we are now, in my personal opinion. Chelsea, it's going to be an interesting year, but they could bounce back. Arsenal are going to keep growing. Liverpool will be back to their best next year, in my opinion. And City ain't going anywhere. So I kind of look at this situation and think to myself, Spurs are in a big, big mess. They're in big, big trouble. They sacked their manager how many weeks ago? And they're almost no closer to kind of progressing. I know they've had issues with Hertiege and the charges and everything else, but yeah, they're a joke right now. And I don't even mean it as a dig. They're a joke to their fans. They are disrespecting their fans, and they should be as angry as anybody. You know, yes, rivals are going to banter them, but they should be absolutely fuming with the sort of direction that they've gone in. Changing the subject. Actually, no, I've got some super chats here. First one says here, do you think fans would say clubs need to be called world-class? Sorry, need so-called world-class signings to progress is a myth. So-called world-class signings like Falcao, Pogba, Torres, Lukaku, Robinho never progress the teams. Scouting players that fits is key.
That's right. Look, I watched a program the other day, and they were talking about Pep's signings at City. They said, when did he ever go to a massive club and take one of the big players off him? It never happened. You know what I mean? Nathan Ake came from Bournemouth, Akanji from Dortmund, Diaz from Benfica, Leroy Sané from Schalke, Bernardo from Monaco. Do you know what I mean? So look at that. You know, so City didn't go and bully everybody and take all of the diamonds. He took players who were promising, and he made every single one of them better.
Mate, this is true. I think, again, when people say go and get world-class players, I look at Victor Osimhen right now. I don't think he's world-class yet, but he's kind of on the way. KDB was tearing up the Bundesliga when you guys bought him. So you can buy players that there's a big buzz around, that there's a lot of excitement about, there's hype around, but you're right.
We got ridiculed for paying that money for KDB.
Oh, you did? I remember.
Phil Thompson, all that, called it insane money, what Man City are doing and all that. And that's the media narrative of it, though. So because Phil Thompson, Liverpool, bias of fuck, says KDB's a flop, everybody goes along with it. Oh, yeah, Man City ruining football. Look at Kevin De Bruyne, what he's done since he come to Man City. He's outstanding.
Well, he's the irony of a Liverpool pundit doing that. He surpassed their greatest midfielder in Steven Gerrard now. And he's scoring and assisting at a higher rate, winning more trophies, which is the ultimate barometer for success. And he's been a linchpin. So I do think, look, you can target world-class players. You can target great up-and-coming players, Anthony, responding to your comment. But it's all about two things. The culture at your club being right. So when they walk through the door, they know it means business. And secondly, the right scouting to make sure that person does fit the culture. And secondly, has the attributes you need to go to another level. Just because you're scoring and performing in a particular team in another league, it doesn't necessarily mean you'll replicate that when you move clubs. So I think it's a combination of everything that you kind of need. Equally, if City had the chance tomorrow to sign Mbappe on the right-hand side, they'd probably look at trying to do it as an example, But yeah, I get where you're coming from completely. This here says, Pep is my idol. Underdog King, Ake, 40 million. Ake, 15 million. Laporte, Diaz, Stones, 175 million. Klopp, a full using whole left back. A Charlton centre back in Gomez, and free agent Matip and Trent. I wouldn't agree with the second half of that. I mean, the fact that he got, again, Klopp got, kind of echoes that Klopp got a world-class left back from Hull for 8 million quid. That is pretty damn good, in my personal opinion.
What about Virgil van Dijk for 75, 80 million, whatever it was, and Alisson for 80 odd million, and them kind of players?
Exactly. I look at it this way. I feel like...
And they still couldn't win a league.
Well, they won one. They won one. They won one of them. They won one of them.
We're about to win 5, so I'd rather go with Pep and Akanji than Big Virgin. He's won.
Someone here says, Terry, why don't you ever bring up City's fake sponsors to Steve? We did 2 shows.
Bring them up. What do you want to talk about?
Well, we did 2 shows on it together, me and Steve, back in kind of March time. We obviously did talk about the new stuff that came up yesterday.
First of all, show me the fake sponsors. Yeah. Tell me which sponsors are fake. Show me the evidence that they're fake, and we'll talk about it. So get that to Terry. Get the evidence in front, and we'll have a chat about the fake sponsors.
Look, we'll again. There is no evidence of that that's public, so none of us have seen any of that. There's going to be a trial. What did you make of the news yesterday about yourselves challenging? Are you bothered that one of the QCs that's overseeing it is an Arsenal fan? Do you think that's right or wrong?
It's fake news, Terry. Man City just got to the final in Istanbul. So what do you think is going to come out? We're going to bring some bullshit out about the charges. We all knew that guy's an Arsenal fan. What does that matter? Do you know what I mean? We're paying that Lord Panic 140 grand a day. So no, who cares? Let it. You'll see what happens. And at the end of it, Man City can't win, because if Man City are clear and we get made innocent, everyone will say, "Oh, they must have paid them." If they get found guilty, then they're guilty. So you can't win. But at the end of the day, it's jealousy. I'm looking at the chat and I'm absolutely laughing my bollocks off, because all I can see in the chat is how Man City are a small club. Man City's got no history. Man United have got 20 league titles. You've got 3 Champions League. That's fantastic. I'm happy being this small club with no history who's about to go to Istanbul and possibly win a treble while you're sat at home watching Coronation Street with your bird. So at the end of the day, I'm taking it. I don't care. I don't want to be a big club. I'd rather be in Man United's shadow all my life, because life is good in the shadow at the minute in Manchester. Let me tell you that. The shadow is where it's at in Manchester at the minute. So keep the shadow coming, yeah? Keep the records breaking. Keep Erling Haaland smashing the league, and I'll send you all a postcard from Istanbul. How about that?
So you think that the journalist yesterday at the Times just made that up? You don't think City have made any challenges at all to the...
Listen, you know yourself about journalists, innit? Yeah, they can. How many times do the papers have to issue apologies when stories get broken? Nobody sees them because they're on page 89 and it's that big. So at the end of the day, nobody cares. We know what we've been charged with breaches of Premier League rules. Okay, but let the lawyers deal with that, because I'm a fan. So I'm not qualified to deal with that. I don't know the ins and outs of it. You don't know the ins and outs of it. Nagala Jr. in the chat, he ain't got a fucking clue what he's talking about. So at the end of the day, let them deal with it in court. We're carrying on with football. We're going to go and try and win a treble. And then what comes out, comes out. But don't be upset when you don't get the verdict you all want. That's all I'm going to say. Don't be upset when you don't get the verdict.
This comment here made me laugh, Steve. It says, I actually hope you get the treble, but it's you, Steve, that I can't stand.
Do you know what, though? I love that, because if he can't stand me, I know I'm getting right on his tips, and Manchester City are burning him. So he's at home filled with hate, worrying about Man City winning the treble. And I can't wait. All I'm worrying about is burning my head, because my head's still burnt from Madrid, and Istanbul's hotter than Madrid. So, I'm living my best life here, mate. You can hate me all you want, man. I don't know you. I don't hate no one. I love everyone.
Man United have got the Glazers. What a banter club. Thank you, Carl, for that, my friend. Thank you. Cheers. Thanks for ruining my Friday by reminding me of that. But yes, just to let everybody know, I'm not afraid to speak to Steve about the charges. We did 2 whole shows on it. And I mean, with respect to Steve, I ain't scared of him. We've met face to face. I wasn't hiding behind a chair. Weird thing that some of you write. It's crazy. You hate Goldbridge, Steve.
We've been down this road. Listen, let me tell you this.
The fact you smiled is funny.
Let me tell you this. Yeah. There's only one man that got a stage production to clip up my clip, edit it, yeah, and put it in his show live in Dublin in front of his mates about me calling him a weapon. So I don't hate him. He clearly has a problem with me. But at the end of the day, the truth hurts some people, innit? And he ended his watch along the other night after 40 minutes because he couldn't bear to watch Manchester City destroy people. So, it is what it is, man. I get it. If I grew up, watching Man City in Division 2 and all of a sudden they're smashing Real Madrid and they're on the verge of a treble, I'd be upset as well. I'd end the watch along. End the stream, Dave. End the stream. So, you know what I mean?
Someone has tweeted me saying, Terry, make sure that Steve doesn't forget to cook his friend Matisse. What's that about?
Matisse? I was with Matisse before. We did a Chelsea preview outside the Etihad. So you can't cook him, can he? They're on the way out, the Gremlins. So
yeah, they are. Also, someone's told me to ask you this, and I don't understand it. What do you make of Roy Hodgson's season?
Fucking hell.
I don't know what it means. I've got no context. That's what I was supposed to ask you.
Listen, right? We're in the Bernabeu. Real Madrid semi-final, Bernabeu, stadium mint, yeah? City kick off. We're right in the gods. So I'm watching the team. I'm looking at Ancelotti, how he's laid it out. I'm looking at Pep, yeah? And I'm looking at this tactical masterclass. Then Daps is next to me and he goes, "Hey, Steve, do you know Roy Hodgson?" I went, "What?" He went, "You know Roy Hodgson?" I went, "Yeah." He went, "The tactics he's using at Crystal Palace at the minute is using the one striker, and when they put the ball to me later," I went, "Daps, why the fuck do I want to know about Roy Hodgson 10 minutes into the Champions League semi-final at the Bernabeu?" I said, "Do one away from me because you're burning me out." And I had to fuck him off, Terry. We started breaking down Roy Hodgson's tactics in the Bernabeu in the semi-final. We'd had too many runs, man. True story. True story. Honestly, true story. I couldn't believe it. I felt like I had Never a Foul podcast in one ear and I'm watching the game in the other ear. I was like, unreal.
Oh my God. Do you know what though? That Daps does that. I've done lots of shows with Daps, and you'll be talking about Man City winning the treble. Like, as an example, you're talking, and then he goes, "I've got a question, guys," and he'll say something like, "Did you watch the Bournemouth game the other night?" And there's like no relevance to it.
Yeah, he does it all the time. But you imagine him doing that when he's been in Play on Mayo Square since 9 o'clock in the morning. He's had 2 bottles of rum.
Yeah.
2 bottles of rum. So that's where Roy Hodgson came out. I was like, wow.
I was also asked to say to you, Mark Robbins.
Oh, don't. Yeah. Well, now we start talking about Mark Robbins and Coventry and how they've got from like the bottom of the. No, you listen. You don't have to go away with this guy. He turns up at the airport in a sky blue tracksuit and pink trainers. Yeah. Yeah. We got stopped by every airport security in every country we land in because they can't believe a grown man is wearing pink trainers and a sky blue tracksuit. Yeah. Every time he meets somebody from London, he stops and has a full-blown 45-minute conversation about Bedford. So you're trying to get somewhere and he's gone. You can't find him. And then when you get in the stadium, he starts busting out Roy Hodgson's whiteboard. And the guy's a special guy, man. He's a special guy.
Oh, my. Bright. Is it a City tracksuit or just like a stat? Like a
No, it's a Machino. It's a Machino tracksuit. It's Machino.
I'm sorry to say this.
And he wore a panda. He wore a panda tracksuit once. Panda colours, black and white panda thing he wore. Nate, I don't know. But don't forget, we're all Northerners in it, and we all dress the same because we live in caves in the north. So when he turns up at the airport in that tracksuit, all my mates are like, "Who the fucking hell is that?"
Oh my God! It's Ali G. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like proper.
Have you seen Ali G in the yellow suit? Yeah. Well, he turned up in Madrid in a yellow pair of Stone Island shorts, a yellow Terrace Cult t-shirt, and a yellow cap. And we were calling him Captain Custard.
Oh my God. Oh my days. This is the thing though. Next time there needs to be pictures. There needs to be pictures because
mate, go on my Instagram at Big Steve MCFC and on the highlights, click on Madrid 23 and go across them and you will see the tracksuit. You will see the tracksuit and you will see the whole story, everything from end to finish.
Let's have a little look here. Right. I'm clicking on your profile. I'm going to put it on the screen for you guys as well. Give me a second. Highlights. Oh, here we go. Oh.
Madrid 23.
Oh, yeah, it don't work on. Oh, it does work on computers. Right. It's just loading. Right. Let me see. Oh. Oh my God. Right. Can I put this in big?
Oh.
Look at him. Oh, wow.
That was me telling everyone he'd been stopped in the airport.
Oh, that was nice. A big blue shark. What else we got on here? It's on Instagram. It's public. Oh, look at Oh, that's
Keep going. There's one. He's dancing in the square in a yellow with a Super Mario character. Keep going.
Oh, hang on.
There, look, what? What's this? Captain Custard, watch.
Man, it's like a lifeguard.
I told you.
Oh my God. And yeah, I bet like the rest of you are all in dark clothes, right? Oh, there's man like Fogden. Like, oh mate, that is absolutely brilliant. It's brilliant. Oh my days. I just see. Oh look, people got to see the rest of yours. That's how Big Steve and all these mates are dressed. Look, that's how they're all dressed. Normal.
Oh, mate,
Oh,
stop
my
it.
word. Oh, my days. Daps. Legend. Legend.
He's a
Legend.
legend, man. He's a legend.
Oh, my God. Yeah, he just said to bring those things up, and he gave me no context. He said, just say it and see what kind. Oh, my days.
I was nervous, man. And I was like, proper, like, I like to watch the game, me, you know what I mean? I'm quiet. I don't drink any alcohol or anything. I'm focused on the game. And then when you've got that in your ear, and then Roy Hodgson, I just turned around. I went, you need to fuck off over there now. I've had enough. And he went, what? I went, you've just broke down Roy Hodgson's tactics for me. And we're playing Real Madrid in the Bernabeu. And he's like, right, okay, then. And he just started laughing. But
oh my day, he
man.
definitely when he was a kid, I bet him and his mates all went. Remember those Nicholson t-shirts that had the number 1 on the back and all the different colors? I bet him and his mates when they were kids, they'd all like it'd be have blue, it'd have pink, it'd have grey, it'd have white, it'd have black. 110%. Oh my days, that's I know you're probably watching, bro. That is one of the best stories I've ever heard around.
Listen, when you've got time, go on them stories and look at Madrid last year, look at Bayern Munich, look at Leipzig. He's got the weirdest gear on there. People now await for Daps's arrival at the airport to see what he's wearing.
Like when you go football, but when we used to go to Old Trafford, we had this guy that came with us. He was called Jesus. He's actually from Uzbekistan, and it obviously lived here. And we called him Jesus. And I don't even know why he had the nickname Jesus. I can't remember now. He'd never been to Old Trafford before, but he was so innocent. But we were in a pub. We're in the San Platz, which is quite a tough United pub. Like a certain way you got to behave in there. If you're a Southerner, you're allowed in there, but you start acting like a Southerner, they get you out. If you're acting soft, they kick you out. And we're in the toilet having a slash, and you could hear a bit. You could hear a few people in the toilets, and he's gone. Terry, he just speaks. So he's like, Terry, what's happening in there? So, oh, you know, they're doing it. He went, what are they doing? You know what they're doing. No, I don't. They're doing a bit of Charlie. Drugs! Started shouting, drugs! They're doing drugs! He started panicking. And honest to God, I burst out laughing because it was funny. Then I realized I might get my head kicked in a minute. But he was a bit like, he wasn't like that, different from Daps. But he would always talk and say the wrong thing at the wrong time in the wrong places. He'd be like, keep your noise down. Like a few times we went into like away pubs, and you go to London away pubs as a United fan with my accent because you just say, I'm Arsenal. No one knows. But he'd sit there and start talking about Man United or singing United songs. I love away. Away days are the best as well. They really, really are. But my God, Daps, less color, a little bit darker, please. That's me saying it in a bright pink t-shirt, by the way. But there we go. Oh my days, that Ali G picture looks like Ty. Ty, by the way, have you ever met Ty?
Arsenal Ty.
IFTV.
Yes.
Did he still wear the Arsenal trainers?
He's got the full gear, mate. He's got the Tony Pulis club shop vibe.
I always remember the first time I met him, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's real." I didn't believe he was real. When I first started working with the guys there, I'd never met any of them. I'd only seen them on cameras. And I said to a few people, there's no way Ty is real. No way. You must put it on. No, he's real. I said he doesn't just wear all Arsenal stuff. They went, he does. They went, just look at his trainers when he walks in. Right? And he walks in, and they are the ugliest. They look like moon boots, right? They look like he was flying to the moon. But they're Arsenal, so he wears them. And they're old. Maybe they've bought out trainers for a while time. So they're all like sort of, you know, when one of your heels wears down and it folds over. They were just mangled, but it's because it had to be his Arsenal stuff. And I didn't mean to be rude. I just burst out laughing because I'd never met someone like that who just everything was Arsenal. And it was the same night. I don't know if you've ever seen the clip where some kid who was about 10 years old called Rocky on the line told him to shut up and let him finish talking. And it was just the room erupted. And he was talking to this 10-year-old like it was a man in a pub. He's just brilliant, Ty. I absolutely love it. Hamza needs a panda suit. His City shirt is too big. Oh, Hamza's. You met Hamza. You met Hamza before. He's a City fan, does TikTok and stuff. He's hilarious. He tried. I said I was winding him up. You didn't have any shirts when you were you weren't a City fan when you were younger. You bet you got no shirts. He pulled out a really old City shirt. He was like, that was mine when I was younger. I was like, why the fuck is it in adult size then? He went, oh no, actually no, this is one that somebody gave to me a little while ago. I was like, look. If you're gonna bait yourself, don't do it. Do you know what I mean? Just admit. But there we go. Yes, and RIP. Cool was there that day with this as well. It was absolutely hilarious. I loved it. I don't know. I love what we do now, but those days were just everything was really quite raw. So remember that stream where Ty and Claude the call in. Oh mate, there was some mad ones. We did like every away Arsenal game that they didn't go to. We did like match reactions in that studio for about 6 months. It was amazing working with those two. It was full on. When they left or when I got in my car to drive home, it was like the peace and quiet was amazing because they just bicker for hours, those two. What a great partnership. But there we go. Viewers, make sure the like button is here. So make sure you hit the subscribe button. I wanted to ask you, Steve, do you think Arsenal can catch you next year? And if so, how do they go about it? What have they got to do to bridge that gap, in your opinion?
I just think they need a bit more quality in there. I think they need a bit more underneath. It's like they've got some injuries and you've got Holding, the Polish kid, Kiwi or whatever, coming in. Not good enough when you're going for a title. Liverpool's went 97 points, didn't win a title. And their underbelly of the team wasn't really that good. Oxlade, Chamberlain, Naby Keita, James Milner. But Arsenal's is well below that. So I think they're going in the right direction. I think that the start that they had was amazing, and you've got to give them credit for getting the points that they got on the board. But when you could tell early doors, when people like Gary Neville and that, who have been in these title races, started to say Arsenal won't last the pace, it's not because they're doing it for banter. It's because they know. And I looked at the team myself and thought, when the shit hits the fan near the end, when teams are fighting for promotion, relegation, that's when you start to get into a dogfight. And I don't think they have the players for the fight. I think it's a big summer ahead. I think the recruitment's got to be on point. I think Jorginho was a bit of a panic, if I'm being honest. I think they've got to get a good mix of exciting young talent and a bit of an older, experienced bunch, and get the balance right. But saying that, Chelsea ain't standing still. United ain't standing still. Liverpool ain't standing still. Newcastle ain't standing still. And Man City definitely ain't standing still. So the job is going to be twice as hard to win next season than it was this season.
Yeah, listen, I think you could be right, especially with what you said at the end there. The recruitment is what's key. And one of the things I've kind of pushed back on all week, no one can catch City. Not true. If Liverpool would have invested right.
Let me tell you something honestly now. We're due a bad season. We're due a season where Pep will struggle to motivate certain people. And if we win a treble, then I think the season after that's going to be hard, because I think certain players, whether you can motivate them to death or not, will feel like they've made it. And that's the problem. And look, 5 out of 6 Premier League titles, finally get a Champions League over the line, I'd be over the moon. But don't be surprised if Manchester City don't have a transitional season soon. And, I'm expecting it.
Mate, listen, you could be absolutely right, especially if certain players leave. So you look at Bernardo Silva and Gundogan, both could leave this summer. Look, you guys buy brilliantly, but when you have a great team, and this is a great City team, replicating that's hard for all managers. Fergie rebuilt teams, but it took him 9 years to get a team as good as the 99 team again. You might still be good, you might still be competitive, you might still win trophies, but the level may drop slightly, as an example. But that's why I don't like this notion of, well, there's no point trying because City are too good. Because what if you do have an off year? What if you do have a couple of seasons where you're not quite at your best? If your team isn't recruiting and working towards being the best you can possibly be, you guys might still nick a league title, if that makes sense. And I mean that with all due respect. So, yeah, I've heard a lot of fans say it, even with Man United. If we buy right and let the football people make the decisions, we have the money to compete with you. We've spent as much as you in the last goddamn decade. So there is no reason for our clubs to not be able to compete with City. You've just got to be run as well, recruit as well, and try your best to, with a lot of us now have got very good managers. No one's got a manager as good as you. And that, I think, is the biggest key difference. You have got the best manager of all of us. But at the same time, maybe it's my nature as a person. And I know I think you're a little bit like this as well. Well, okay, that's bigger than mine or better than mine, but that doesn't mean I'm going to give up. I'm going to keep striving to improve myself. I own a few businesses outside of what I do on the terrace. They're not the biggest of what, industry. One of them's an estate agency and a few others. They're not the biggest, but we strive to be the best still. Does that make sense? I wouldn't just go, right, there's no point trading today because there's an estate agent in the town down the road that's got double the turnover of us. I don't understand that logic. You know, if every 100-meter sprinter for the previous decade felt like that, there'd be no point racing Usain Bolt. You know, just all go home, give up, don't try. I just don't buy into that sort of thing at all. I think it's a weak mentality. And Arsenal need to go big this summer. I like what they're doing with their contracts, though. I like the look of the level of money they're offering these good talented players to stay. Arsenal have never done that before, really. They've always given it to people past their best. Aubameyang, Ozil, their talent years before that, they let go when they shouldn't. Saliba's the interesting one because there's a lot of people online today talking about Saliba could leave. You know, he hasn't signed a new deal yet. Do you see Saliba leaving Arsenal, or do you think this is just a little bit of paper talk?
It depends if he believes that Arsenal can do it. You know what I mean? You do get that. You know, if after this season, not only the fans are going to be disappointed, the players are going to be disappointed because there's a part of that season where they were on fire and they thought they were going to blow it and go all the way to the title. So it's disappointing for them. If he believes in Arsenal and the manager and the project, then I'm sure he'll sign. If he doesn't, then he's not going to be short of people that want him. So he'll leave. It just whether they can convince him to be part of it. That's the problem that you get.
Yeah, listen, I think he'll stay. I think they'll get a deal done. I think the players do believe they can go to the next level. I think this summer is key though, and I don't even think this is an Arteta issue. I think this is a football club issue above and beyond him. I get why Saka signed a new deal in Ramsdale, but if I was Saliba, honestly, I'd wait until after the summer. I'd wait and see what they do. Because the only time I think you'd feel a bit gutted, you sign that new deal because you're told, look, we're going to get Caicedo and Rice and Rafinha and Guardiola. I'm just throwing out some names there. And oh, great, we're really well in. If we don't get them, we'll get equally as good. And then you end up with one of those players and then two or three that you're really underwhelmed by. Then, as a player that's just signed a new deal, there may be a little bit of, you told me we were going to do something different. So maybe Saliba might wait and see after the window before signing that new deal. Maybe. But like, I see him doing it. I think there's a bit of scaremongering for people that he might leave. I think he'll get a big deal. He's also probably looking to see what Ramsdale and Saka are getting paid and Martinelli and thinking, well, you know, the fans rate me as the best centre-back at the club. So, and look, you know, and I guarantee he's agents using the narrative the fans have created of Saliba left the team and we didn't win the league. That's worth a lot of money if you can sell that to a club. Does that make, if you can sell it that, well, we're the reason that you didn't win the league because we were unfit, we had an injury. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, but yeah, they definitely need to get these players tied down and invest a lot in the summer to move forward. Manny here, Manny Soto says rivals can't accept City have finished the final piece of the puzzle to accomplish the one trophy they crave. Shame Arsenal bottled the league. Yeah. I mean, this is a weird thing with me. I can accept that you've done it. I'm annoyed you're doing it because I'm always annoyed when my rivals do good things, but I can accept that you've done it. Some people would maybe just be in a little bit of denial, but there we go. Steve, always a pleasure to speak to you, mate. It truly is. And I'm sure we'll catch up again next week. Just to let a few of the viewers know, like mine and Lee's show is going to continue next week. We've got Sam in the summer. So in about July, we're adding another new member to Straight Facts for a weekly show. Man like Saeed will be joining the terrace and putting out a weekly show with us as well. So we're expanding Straight Facts to around 4 episodes per week, which we're very, very excited about over here to have Big Steve, Saeed, Lee Gunner, and Sam. For me, that's a pretty formidable lineup, to be fair. So yeah, very, very excited about that indeed. Steve, always a pleasure to speak to you, my friend.
Thank you.
And we'll chat again soon. Viewers, take care. Goodbye. God bless. Hit the like button. Back tomorrow with match reactions, and we'll see you all again soon. Peace.